and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. Pursuant to the guidelines of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to reduce the pilgrimage fees, the refund process is initiated starting from Tuesday, to the great joy of the Holy Shrines visitors. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, supervises a night tactical exercise with real ammunition carried out by the operational sector in the 3rd Military Region. The Energy Minister's visit to Mauritania is crowned with the signing of a memorandum of understanding in the field of energy and mining to further boost bilateral cooperation. The national football team takes on today in the capital Dar es Salaam the Tanzanian side in the second round of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Good evening. Those were the headlines first in our today's news. And pursuant to the guidelines of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, meant to reduce the pilgrimage fees, 2022 pilgrims are refunded starting from Tuesday. This move was highly appreciated by the Holy Shrines visitors, who expressed their thanks and gratitude to the President of the Republic. The pilgrims concerned by this operation are those who already have paid their fees. The amount to be refunded is 100,000 dinars. In another development, a plenary session chaired by the President of the Council of the Nation, Salah Goujil, took place on Tuesday in the presence of the Minister in charge of relations with the Parliament, Basma Azwar. For his part, the Fisheries Minister, Hisham Soufiane Salawachi, presented a draft bill complementing the law of July 3, 2001 regarding fishing and aquaculture. He then affirmed that this draft is part of the President of the Republic's instructions on accompanying economic operators and organizing the fishing and aquaculture sectors and improving their socio-economic conditions meant to ensure food security. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, supervised the execution of the night tactical exercise as part of his visit to the 3rd Military Region. More details with Ines Killo.
As part of his visit to the 3rd Military Region, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, supervised the execution of the Sumud 2022 night tactical exercise with real ammunition carried out by units of the South Operational Sector of Tindouf Province, with the participation of units belonging to different forces. First of all, the Lieutenant General followed a presentation by the Commander of the Southern Operational Sector of Tindouf Province on the main idea and the stages of the exercise, which took place in 2 phases. The first theoretical one, in which the staff of the regional commands and the participating units took part, and the second one, dynamic, during which the participating units were engaged. At the level of the firing range and maneuvers of the sector, the Lieutenant General, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, closely followed the progress of the exercise carried out by night in condition close to reality in order to achieve its objective, in particular with regard to the training of the commands and personnel in the preparation and organization of night combat actions, to consolidate the experience of the commands in terms of unit control by putting in concrete from cohesion, homogeneity and coordination between units and secondary units, and to allow the crew to acquire more skills in the control of the weapon systems. The exercise also aimed to test the operational readiness and ability to execute and conduct night combat actions, and to take stock of the ability to carry out assigned missions under all circumstances. The exercise, which allowed to highlight the capacities of the engaged units to carry out with skill the assigned missions, constitutes another success which denotes the excellent mastery by the different detachments of the various weapons and modern equipment, and confirms the level of development and operational readiness achieved by the various components of the Battle Corps of the National People's Army. At the end of the exercise and after the inspection of the participating units, the Lieutenant General congratulated the personnel present for the considerable efforts spent during the year of preparation for combat and throughout the preparation of this exercise. He also assured them of the interest that he personally attaches to this type of participation, which makes it possible to objectively assess the degree of implementing the various stages of combat preparation programs and to evaluate the operation on the ground of the successive stages planned before urging all the personnel to keep on with the same determination.
In cooperation, memoranda of understanding in the energy and mines sector were signed on Tuesday in Nouakchott between Algeria and Mauritania during the working visit paid by the Energy Minister Mohamed Arqab. The signing ceremony took place in the presence of the Mauritanian Minister of Petroleum, Mines and Energy, Abdessalam Ould Mohamed Saleh. The agreement pertains to scientific, technical, technological, legislative, administrative and commercial cooperation, as well as boosting investment in both countries. It also provides for the study of cooperation opportunities in the field of liquefied gas and compressed natural gas as fuel for vehicles. Still in Nouakchott, where the Energy Minister and Mines Mohamed Arqab reviewed with the Mauritanian Minister of Agriculture Adama Bokar Soko bilateral cooperation projects in the field of agriculture. At the end of the meeting, the Energy Minister made a statement during which he said that the discussions focused mainly on cooperation in the field of fertilizers. The Tourism Minister, for his part, Yassin Hamadi, took part in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, in the proceedings of the 116th session of the Executive Council of the International Organization for Tourism. On this occasion, the Tourism Minister stressed the need to take into consideration all initiatives and proposals that would develop the sector and enhance cooperation and coordination between the member states of the organization, while referring to the Algerian experience in this regard. Algeria, which has embarked on important economic reforms led by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, notably investment. For his part, the housing minister carried out an unexpected visit to the construction site of the 50,000-seat stadium in Tizi Ouzou province. During this visit, the housing minister, accompanied by local authorities, inspected the project's progress, which has reached 25% only, a situation deemed unsatisfactory by the minister, while all constraints have been removed and that the state has released significant financial packages. A meeting was then held at the governorate premises, where the minister emphasized the use of local materials as well as the strengthening of the project with human and material resources. A factory dedicated to the production of ceramic products in Tlemcen province has gained a privileged place on the national market thanks to its professionalism and qualified managing team. More details with Melissa Kubash.
Located in the province of Tlemcen, precisely in the region of Ghazawat, this ceramic factory that produces nearly 500,000 units that meets the international standards and showcases the Algerian skills in terms of industrial production.
Our product meets the standards inspired from the European and international standards.
So as to reach the final product without any flaws, it must go through several stages, starting with the raw material, which consists of a mixture of clay and sand, formed into molds, then put into an oven with a capacity of 1,400 units for 20 hours and for no less than 1,000 degrees. The factory also aspires to develop and diversify its production alongside its activities in the industrial sector in the near future.
The factory aims to double its production capacity to reach 800,000 units per year.
The know-how and professionalism in the production of ceramic products have allowed the Ghazawat plant to occupy a privileged place on the national market, with international and African ambitions to conquer new markets.
In another development, the head of external relations of the Sahrawi Youth Union, Hamdi Ammar Al-Tawalbi, stressed that the Moroccan occupier is now internationally isolated after its failed attempts to distort the Sahrawi cause. The Sahrawi activist further said that the Moroccan representatives suffered a major setback at the meeting held from the 2nd to the 5th of the current month in the Albanian capital, Tirana, of the International Council of the International Union of Socialist Youth, when 150 organizers refused to include a recommendation of the Moroccan occupier to distort the struggle of the Sahrawi people and promote its pseudo-autonomy plan as being the only solution to the conflict in Western Sahara. This proposal was denounced by the World Youth delegations that reaffirmed the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination and reiterated their unwavering support to the Polisario Front as the legitimate and sole representative of the Sahrawi people. And according to a Mauritanian writer, Morocco is now the gateway used by the Zionist entity to infiltrate North Africa, representing a real threat to the region. In a statement made to the national press, the journalist Sid Ahmed Wold Tfil explained that the Makhzen regime requires, in return of its normalization of relations with the Zionist entity, military weapons used to threaten the security and stability of the Maghreb region. The Mauritanian writer then added that new military agreements and strengthening of security cooperation between Morocco and the Zionist entity are expected soon. The Moroccan University joins the popular protest movements against misery and normalization. Students, teachers, and other education professionals expressed their outrage towards the Zionist policy adopted by the Makhzen regime. The details with Sabrin Tefergenit.
Demonstrations have become a symbol of resistance to oppression exercised by the Makhzen regime towards the Moroccan people. The oppression is maintained by imposing all sorts and methods to cope with normalization with the Zionist entity, ignoring the determination of Moroccan people. Today, it's the turn of university students and the whole educational body to express their rejection and anger at the premises of the ministry, and in particular the recent cooperation agreements, as well as the academic and scientific collaboration between the Makhzen regime and the Zionist entity. Teachers, researchers and students took to the streets and are planning other marches in the upcoming 3 days in order to voice their outrage and clear rejection of the normalization process, as well as the interference in the Moroccan universities, which damaged their reputation. People are present here in protest against the Moroccan regime with clear demands, notably restoring the dignity of the Moroccan citizens severely hit. They look for liberty and access to knowledge. Teachers and students from different ages are facing the regime that opted for silence and remained indifferent. Their objective is always the same: having better quality of life and dignity. The Palestinian cause still and will always remain part of the Moroccan people claims. A legitimate cause bravely backed by protesters coming from the four corners of Morocco, shouting the clear refusal of injustice.
In the same context, the Spanish intelligence services reported that King Mohammed VI is directly involved in the implementation of a strategy aimed at forcing Spain to change position concerning the Western Saharan issue. Melissa Kibash has details.
Spain has changed its strategy vis-à-vis Morocco. The Spanish government officially stands with its southern neighbor concerning the Western Saharan cause, a change of position that remains misunderstood by several observers who consider that Spain yielded to Moroccan blackmail with the illegal migrants issue that took proportions and caused controversies for several months. The pressure exercised by Morocco was indeed validated by the Spanish Intelligence Center. According to it, King Mohammed VI is directly involved in the strategy aimed to manipulate Spain through thousands of illegal migrants. On May 17, 2021, nearly 12,000 migrants crossed the border to enter the European space, while the security services stood there alongside the Royal Gendarmerie. Morocco used the illegal migrants as a means of blackmail, which explains this disturbing change of course by Spain, already explained in a report of the Spanish Intelligence Center published in the El País newspaper. The report confirms that the center informed the government that the entry of thousands of illegal migrants in Ceuta in May 2021 was part of a detailed strategy by Morocco to force Spain to reconsider its position concerning the Western Saharan issue. El País added that the intelligence services underlined the involvement of King Mohammed VI in the implementation of the strategy, perfectly planned and directed at the highest level of power. The report also mentioned the advisor of the king, Fuad Ali, the Foreign Affairs Minister Nasser Bourita, and Abdellatif Hamouchi, the General Director of Territorial Surveillance. A plan that paid off since on March 14th, 6 months after the illegal migrants crisis. The Spanish government gave in and announced its solidarity with Morocco for the autonomy of Western Sahara, a plan widely rejected by the Spanish parliament.
And finally, the national football team takes on today the Tanzanian side in the second round of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. The Desert Warriors secured a good start after beating Uganda with 2-0 last Saturday here in the capital Algiers. Today's game would be held in the capital Dar es Salaam. In case of victory, it will erase the qualification process to the Côte d'Ivoire final edition and help their fans to forget about the World Cup setback versus Cameroon. And with this, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in.